I just bought this PC for $1 on eBay. I bought it to find out just how bad a 20-year-old PC really is, and whether I can do whatever it takes to make it run 4K games. Let's find out. Now I'm really excited to open this cardboard box up, and oh my god, there's cat hair all over the outside of the box. And somehow there are random stains on it too. Alright, I really hope there's actually a PC inside this thing, because this package is heavy. I weighed it, and it came out to almost 10 kilograms. So at this point, even if the seller sent me something completely different instead of a computer, I probably still wouldn't lose money just because of the weight alone. Alright, let's open it. Oh wow, there actually is a PC inside. And good lord, this thing is huge. Oh wait, why does this smell so familiar? It literally smells like coffee. I mean, surely the seller didn't send me a free bag of coffee with the PC, right? Anyway, this machine looks ancient. And if you're wondering, the exact model is the HP RP 5700. Yep, this thing came out almost 19 years ago. Alright, let's open it up and see if there's secretly a coffee machine inside too. Oh my god. The seller actually did send me coffee, just not in the way I expected. Looks like someone spilled coffee inside the PC while removing the side panel. At this point, I'm starting to think the previous owner spent most of their time drinking coffee and petting cats directly next to this machine. But the thing I really care about right now is this. Does it still work? Or did I just buy electronic garbage? Before plugging it in, I need to clean and dry the wet area first. Because if there's still moisture inside and I power it on, yeah, that could end very badly. So for now, I'm just going to dry everything carefully and hope for the best. I can clean the whole system properly later. Right now, I just need this thing to show an image on the screen. Fingers crossed. 3, 2, 1. And of course, nothing is ever easy. The PC showed absolutely no signs of life. At this point, either the power supply or the motherboard was in trouble. And honestly, both would be a nightmare for me. Because this system uses one of those weird small-form 24-pin power connectors, and I basically have 0 spare parts to replace it with. Alright, let's test the power supply first. Oh my god, it still works. Look at that, the fan is spinning, which means the power supply is not the problem, and now all the blame shifts to this poor motherboard. But I still couldn't say it was dead just yet, so I grabbed a flashlight and started inspecting every tiny corner inside the system, trying to see if any leftover coffee was still hiding somewhere, especially around the PCIe slots. And then I finally found the problem. There was still a small amount of liquid trapped inside, maybe leftover coffee, or maybe cleaning liquid that I accidentally spilled while trying to clean the coffee earlier. Either way, at that moment, nothing was more important than cleaning it immediately. So I carefully cleaned everything again, dried it completely, and checked every corner one more time, just to make sure there was absolutely no moisture left. And then it was finally time to try powering it on again. Oh my god! The PC booted instantly. Now to explain what probably happened. Water can conduct electricity, and inside a PCIe slot, there are tons of tiny pins sitting extremely close together. So even a tiny bit of liquid can accidentally connect those pins together, causing the whole system to refuse to start. Thankfully, once everything was dry, the motherboard came back to life. And because the machine already had a 128 gigabyte SSD installed, it booted straight into Windows immediately. Oh, Windows 10. And surprisingly, it actually looks really clean. It seems like someone freshly installed Windows before selling this machine. So, what kind of hardware are we actually dealing with here? Inside this machine, we've got an E5700. Yep, a Core 2 Duo CPU that launched around 16 years ago. And just imagining this thing trying to run games at 4K resolution. Yeah, this CPU would probably stop breathing instantly. And the RAM situation isn't looking great either. This PC only has 2 gigabytes of RAM, and somehow it gets even worse, because it's DDR2. At this point, almost nobody even uses this type of memory anymore. Alright, before we start doing anything crazy, let's see how this machine handles something basic first, like watching videos. Oh my god. This thing is lagging so badly, and keep in mind that this is only 480p video playback, yet the stuttering is happening constantly. The CPU is getting completely exhausted, sitting above 90% usage almost the entire time. And the RAM? Basically full already. So if this PC is struggling this hard just to play low-resolution video, then I'm genuinely worried about my original goal of trying 4K gaming on this thing. But surprisingly, there's actually one thing I really like about this machine. The built-in speaker sounds way better than I expected. It doesn't feel like one of those cheap office speakers that only exist to make notification sounds. It actually has decent bass, which somehow makes this old PC feel a little more premium than it deserves. But still, If basic tasks are already this difficult, then what happens when we try gaming? How bad is this about to get? Oh my god! This thing is taking forever to load the map. I literally had to wait almost 2 minutes just for the world to finish loading. And once I finally got in, 1 FPS at 1080p. Yeah, my patience was disappearing very quickly trying to game on this machine, so I lowered the render distance from 12 chunks all the way down to the minimum. And thankfully, the FPS did improve a little. But not by much, it was only around 10 FPS, which still felt absolutely terrible. But to be fair, we are technically rendering graphics using a Q963 chipset that came out almost 20 years ago. So at this point, it's honestly not surprising that the performance is this bad. So yeah, it's pretty clear that this $1 PC is not capable of 4K gaming in its current state. But this isn't the end of the road just yet, because there's still one thing that might save it: upgrades. I mean, let's be realistic here. You can't expect an 80-year-old grandpa to suddenly start sprinting. Before upgrading anything though, I need to clean this machine first, because it arrived in absolutely disgusting condition. Now let me show you why this PC actually has some upgrade potential. First of all, it has a PCIe by 16 slot, which means I can install a proper graphics card. And surprisingly, it also comes with 4 RAM slots. So depending on what the CPU supports, I can upgrade this thing up to either 8 GB or maybe even 16 GB of memory. As for the power supply, 240 watts is just enough for a GPU that doesn't require external power. So for the graphics card, I decided to go with a low-profile GT X1050 Ti 4 GB. This choice lets me avoid cutting the case or replacing the power supply entirely. Now for the RAM, the system already came with one 2 GB stick installed, and since I didn't want to waste it, I added 3 more 2 GB sticks, which brings the total up to 8 GB. That also happens to be the maximum amount of RAM this machine officially supports. And finally, the CPU. This system uses socket 775, so I upgraded it to a Core 2 Quad-Q 9550. Now technically the clock speed is a little lower than before, but having 4 cores and 4 threads should help a lot in modern games. Alright, let's see what this machine becomes after the upgrades. But it looks like I ran into a pretty serious problem after upgrading the machine. The monitor showed absolutely no signal after powering it on. Even the keyboard wasn't lighting up, which usually means one thing: something is wrong with either the RAM or the CPU. So now I had to start checking every upgrade I just installed into this system. First, I tried booting with only a single stick of RAM, but nope, the machine still refused to start. After sitting there confused for a while and digging through forums, I finally realized I had made a pretty basic mistake. This machine is limited by its Q963 chipset and BIOS, and unfortunately that chipset only supports a maximum front-side bus speed of 1066 MHz. Meanwhile, the Core 2 Quad-Q 9550 requires a 1333 MHz bus, which basically means the motherboard simply cannot handle this CPU properly. So after all that excitement, I had no choice but to put the original E5700 back into the system. The difference became immediately obvious in Minecraft. Look at this. The FPS went from barely 1 frame per second to well over 100 FPS. And this time, the game actually feels smooth. But there's still one problem. The FPS is jumping around like crazy. There's basically no stability at all, which honestly makes sense when you think about how old this CPU is. The poor E5700 is running at almost full usage the entire time, just trying to keep up with the GPU. Meanwhile, the graphics card is sitting around 20% usage, like it's barely even trying. That's when you know the CPU has officially become the bottleneck. Alright, let's test Tomb Raider again. Oh wow, 40 to 50 FPS. For hardware this old, that is actually kind of insane. Now sure, it's not perfectly smooth or anything, but it's also nowhere near as terrible as before. For a casual player like me, this is honestly pretty playable, but trust me, this is only the beginning of the torture I'm about to put this ancient machine through. Alright, now let's see how much this machine suffers when I push the resolution up to 2K. And surprisingly, the FPS didn't collapse nearly as hard as I expected. It was still hovering above 60 FPS most of the time. Now sure, there were moments where the FPS suddenly dropped down to around 30, but honestly that's pretty unavoidable in games that put this much pressure on the CPU, especially when we're talking about a processor this old. And somehow Tomb Raider stayed fairly stable too. Compared to 1080p, the FPS only dropped by around 10 frames, which is actually not bad at all. Meanwhile, my poor ancient CPU is still suffering in the background. The thing is pinned at 100% usage almost constantly. And weirdly enough, it's only running at around 2.7 gigahertz, even though its stock clock speed is supposed to be 3 gigahertz, which really feels like a waste. Alright, it's finally time to try 4K, and this time, I'm actually going to increase the graphics settings a bit higher, so the GPU can take more of the workload away from the CPU. And somehow, this makes absolutely no sense. But my FPS didn't go down, it actually went up. There were even moments where the FPS climbed above 40. Now, realistically, it mostly stayed around 30 FPS. The GPU temperature was also getting dangerously high, climbing past 80 degrees Celsius. But still, the fact that this ancient machine is even running games at 4K like this feels completely ridiculous. And for the first time during this entire experiment, the bottleneck actually shifted. The GPU suddenly became the component struggling the most, running close to full usage almost the entire time. Meanwhile, the CPU finally got a little chance to breathe. I also tried testing GTA 5 again, and yeah, it looks like even this GPU is starting to struggle now. The FPS was mostly hovering around just 10 to 15 frames per second, which is pretty bad. But even after all of that, I still haven't reached this machine's limit yet, because my goal is much more ridiculous than this. I want this thing to run games smoothly at over 60 FPS in 4K. So now it's time for the fun part. We're upgrading to a much more powerful graphics card, and trust me, I have a lot of GPS lying around. But for this experiment, I'm going all in with the most powerful card I own, the GTX 1080 Ti. And honestly, this old office PC probably feels intimidated just standing next to this thing. I mean, think about it. The motherboard inside this machine only supports PCIe Gen 1x16. Meanwhile today, we already have PCIe Gen 6 hardware. That is an insane gap in bandwidth. And yes, this is absolutely going to become a huge bottleneck. But there's another problem too. There's no way I'm letting the original power supply handle a GTX 1080 Ti. That would probably end in smoke and sadness. So instead, I'm using a completely separate power supply just to power the graphics card alone. Alright, let's see what kind of difference this monster GPU actually makes. In scenes with lots of explosions or heavy visual effects, the FPS would drop down to around 30 to 40 frames per second, but in more stable areas, the performance could climb back up to well over 60 FPS. And surprisingly, the GPU was only using around 40% of its full power, which is actually pretty acceptable if you ignore how completely ridiculous and unbalanced this entire system is. Now, switching back to GTA 5, there really wasn't much improvement at all. The FPS simply refused to go above 20 frames per second, and honestly, the experience felt pretty awful. What's even crazier is that it actually performed worse than the GTX 1050 Ti in some situations. At this point, I think the CPU simply couldn't keep up with a monster GPU like this anymore. And that right there perfectly shows the performance difference. Sure, the FPS wasn't exactly amazing, but somehow this ancient machine was still capable of launching games at 4K. Still, I highly recommend that you do not copy what I just did, because this entire setup is honestly kind of stupid. Anyway, see you guys in the next one.